Hi y'all, this is Chef Shay and I'm coming from Shay's Kitchen, Shay's Food Journey Kitchen today. And today we're going to be making a Thai curry shrimp soup. Yum. So today we're going to Thailand. So stay tuned and you just need a half of a red pepper, 1 lime, a garlic clove, of course salt and pepper to season, a little bit of red pepper flakes if you want it a little more spicier. I like spice, but you don't necessarily have to have spice. And we're going to do a jalapeno pepper. We're going to de-seed the jalapeno pepper, a little bit of red onion, and fresh ginger. Ginger always gives it a great flavor. So I'm going to get ready to cut all those ingredients up, and then we'll go into making our soup. So we're just gonna cut up a little bit of red pepper. Red pepper, I love red pepper. It's a little sweeter than green pepper. So I use, I know how some people use a trinity. They use green pepper, they use celery and onion. I kind of do that in my style of cooking, but it's not necessarily that trinity. I am a pepper type person, or a pepper girl, so I'm always using like red peppers. I always have a jalapeno pepper, and that does not make your food spicy. If some of you guys are thinking that, the jalapeno, if you de-seed it, it's not going to be as hot in your food, but it does de-seed it. So now I'm going to work on the jalapeno that I was just talking about. So I'm making my own little trinity here, and I'm going to de-seed this part of this jalapeno here and get the seeds out the way for us. And I'm going to chop this up a little bit. This will go into our soup. And I like different types of nationalities of foods. So I'm really, when people ask me, oh, what's your specialty? There's not really a specialty that I have. I love international cuisine. So I like, Jamaican food, Thai food, Mexican food, you name it. So, but this soup is light. It's good. It's flavorful. You can make it for your family. You can make it with chicken. You can make it with tofu. I'm just going to use shrimp today. But you can make it, or you can just use the broth and don't have any meat in it whatsoever. So I use a half, less than a half red pepper. I use a half of jalapeno pepper. And this is going to probably serve, I would say, about maybe 4 people today. So you can make a bigger batch if needed, and this will be on my website, shaysfoodjourney.com. And so if you wanted to make a bigger batch of it, just double the ingredients. Now I'm going to take 1 garlic clove here, and I smash it down. It's just easier to get the wrapper off. And I'm going to cut that. I'm going to mince that up a little bit. It's always good to use various vegetables or herbs. It brings more flavor out. Okay, y'all, so I'm going to cut up some ginger here, some fresh ginger. And sometimes people think, oh, fresh ginger, that's going to be hot. But really, it gives it a great flavor. And if you don't want to use fresh ginger, there's always crystallized ginger, where crystallized ginger is going to be a little sweeter that you could use. Or you just don't, and you don't have to use a lot. And sometimes it helps, with certain foods too, to keep you, regular or whatever. It doesn't give you a stomach ache or whatever, like especially like curries and things of that nature. So sometimes they put a little bit of ginger, like in curry chicken, Jamaican curry chicken, and things of that nature. So you don't get a little stomach ache from the curry sometimes. So I just used 1 slither of ginger. So we will use that. Okay, so we have the red pepper, jalapeno pepper, red onion, ginger, and garlic. So those are our vegetables. And like I said, I'm going to move this aside, and we're going to go ahead and season our shrimp. So I probably have here about, I would say 10 to 15, maybe about 15 to 20 shrimp Like I said, this is probably going to feed about 4 people. And it's just easy. All I'm going to do is just season it with salt and pepper. So I'm not going to do anything real fancy with this because we have so many other flavors that's going to be in this broth. So I'm just going to go ahead and season maybe, you know, 2 like a tablespoon of salt, or, you know, 2 little pinches of salt. And I use kosher salt. I like to use kosher salt, and I have a little bit of seasoned pepper. So I'm going to put a little pepper in there, and I'm just going to mix that up. So that's just real easy to do, and we're going to set this aside for later because shrimp doesn't, as you guys know, or if you don't know, it doesn't take that long to cook. So now we're going to saute our vegetables with a little bit of olive oil. So, you know, I don't know, put about a tablespoon or so in there. And a little bit of butter. You don't have to use the butter if you know, if you feel, oh my God, that's too fattening, or butter, and you know, don't use it. I like butter, so I'm going to use the butter, but this you don't necessarily have to. It's going to be optional if you want to use butter or not. And while that's sauteing, I am going to cut up a little bit of Thai basil. Thai basil we're going to use at the end. I like to use Thai basil. I like American basil also, but I like to use Thai basil. And the reason why you see it like this is because it'll last longer. So whenever you get fresh herbs, you always want to come home and put them in a paper towel and put them in a plastic bag. The paper towel, it'll keep them from not going bad as quickly. So I'm going to just take a little bit of the Thai basil out. So we'll set that aside. We'll go back to this is pretty much done. We have our vegetables all nicely done. So we're going to set this aside, and I'm going to get the pot that we will use to make the actual soup. We'll come back to this pot with the butter and oil in it because we're going to saute our shrimp. But I want to do that at the end because shrimp, it doesn't take that long to cook, and we don't want it chewy. We want it nice. So I'm going to take this off. We're going to use this with Penang curry. So this is Penang curry I got from the Asian store. They have various types, and Penang is basically a red curry. But it's not as spicy as if you get like a regular just red curry, which you can use. Penang is going to be a little sweeter. Toast that up. And the Penang curry. So now I'm going to put some of the shrimp broth in here, and I'm going to talk about, I made a homemade shrimp broth. And the reason why, and I say probably about, I probably did about 3 cups in there. Is the shrimp broth is going to give it more of a shrimp flavor. If you can do a chicken broth if you want to. I'm just trying to be fancy smashy, and so that's why I did a shrimp broth. And it's really easy. Basically, you're going to take the shells from your shrimp, and you're gonna put some garlic in. You're gonna put the shells in a pot. You put some water, garlic, salt, pepper, lemon. You know, cut the lemon in half. Put that in there. You can put some Creole seasoning in there, celery, and onion, and just let that boil for probably about an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, somewhere like that. And then you'll have this great flavor, shrimp flavor. Oh, and then once that finishes boiling, then you're going to take a strainer, you're going to drain it because of course you have all those shells and everything, and then you have a great broth. I'm going to taste it because you know you have to always taste your food. You know that's the best way to know what it tastes like. And so you see if you need any more like salt and pepper. Ooh, that tastes so good. I wish I could. Okay, so now we're going to throw our shrimp in there, and we're going to let that cook until it gets a nice pink. So you're just going to put all your shrimp in the broth. And we're going to let that cook. And like I said, shrimp don't take that long to cook. So we're just going to let it get nice and pink, y'all. And we're going to put some lime juice in here. So I'm going to put a little bit of lime juice in. I'm excited about this soup. You know, it's going to be good. I got this little gadget at the dollar store. Just $1. And then you can squeeze it down and put your little lime juice. I just did a half a lime. And so we're letting that cook. You always taste, so I'm getting ready to taste it again to make sure all the flavors are marrying and coming together really good. Taste it again. There's a little more lime juice, but it's good. Okay, y'all, so let me taste this. We got the coconut milk in here. We got the shrimp stock in here. We got our vegetables, our shrimp. So let me taste it. We got butter. A little bit of lime juice. I'll put a little salt in it. Excuse me. A little salt to taste. It's gonna be good, y'all. I'm excited. I'm gonna put a little pepper. And like I said, you always taste your food to know what it's tasting like. I'm gonna put a little bit of sweet chili sauce. I like to put sweet chili sauce. It's a little sweet, but then it's got a little kick to it. So I'm gonna put like a little bit of this in there. And you could probably put like a tablespoon or so. Don't put a lot, but you know, enough just to kind of get a little bit of that sweet taste. And like I said, don't worry about it. I have the recipe on my website so you can get the correct measurements that you need. I didn't think I had to teach y'all how to make rice, so I made some rice ahead of time. So I'm gonna take this and I'm just gonna mold a little bit of rice in the middle. And this is jasmine rice. I like jasmine rice. That's just my preference. And I think it tastes good, so I'm just gonna mold the rice. So you can just mold it in a little dish if you want to, or you can just scoop it up. You ain't got to be as fancy as this, but you know, I'm gonna mold it. I'm gonna put it in the middle of my bowl. And then I'm gonna take our soup. And I'm gonna put the soup around it. So I'm gonna take the soup. I'm gonna put the soup in here around it with the little shrimps. And get some of this nice broth. And then we're gonna take it and we're gonna put a little, remember that basil that I cut up earlier? We're gonna put a little bit of, sprinkle a little bit of the basil in there. I'm gonna cut up a little bit of the lime. Cut a little bit of the lime up. Put a little bit of lime. I put a little, sprinkle a little bit of red pepper flakes. But like I said, this is just optional. And there you have it.